Is there a hat on?
Welcome to the Mental Health Bootcamp podcast.
Woo!
This is the podcast where four mental health professionals, three of us Canadian, one of us American, serve you cutting edge mental health knowledge. I am Dr. Ryan Howes, a clinical psychologist from Pasadena, California.
And I'm Dr. Brooke Lewis, a registered clinical counselor from Canada.
And I'm Joanna Boyd. I'm a clinical counselor as well, and I live in Port Moody.
I'm Chris Boyd, psychotherapist from Coquitlam.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome, my Canadian friends. I wanted to mention that one of my good buddies, actually Dr. Steve Simpson, who was on the podcast with us once, he was talking about defense mechanisms. Do you remember that?
Ah, yes.
He just landed a few hours ago in Vancouver for the first time ever.
Great.
To your great city. He's there for a conference. And all he said so far was, this airport is the cleanest and quietest airport I've ever been in.
This is true.
It wins awards.
It does.
Not always quiet, but it's a beautiful airport, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan, when did he arrive?
Yeah, he arrived earlier today. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if it was only yesterday. Yesterday was such a beautiful day. It was just like sunshine, anyways.
Yes. It was like a quintessential fall day.
Oh, so beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. But anyways, hopefully he'll have a bit of, I think he's just going to have rain here, unfortunately, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right. I sent him the list of restaurants and activities that you guys sent me before for another friend who was visiting up there. And told him, we'll just make a plug here. If he wants to have some great food, go to Joey. 3 locations in Vancouver area.
It's very true. Great plug. Good job.
Great plug.
Even a couple down, 3 down where you are too, right?
Is there 3 there now?
Or 2 at least. Maybe a third.
Gosh, great food. So hey, this was Halloween week, right?
Sure was. Yeah, we were talking a bit before we started, and Ryan's going to start a petition worldwide for Halloween to be observed on the last Saturday of October.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not the first one who's thought this. This is a common aggravation among parents that, you know, the kids go out on a weeknight to trick or treat and get all amped up and sugared up, and then have to get them somehow to go to bed, and then they're little monsters in the morning. So we could still have the official Halloween holiday be whatever, the 31st, but can we just observe it on that Saturday beforehand so that we can have a fairly normal weekend or weekdays, really? That's what I'd like.
That would
Sure.
be nice. Do you, one thing that's happened up here, at least in Port Moody, is pajama day. The day after Halloween in some of the schools.
Really?
So our niece and nephew, they're at 2 different schools, one in middle school and elementary. And actually, no, my sister-in-law too, she teaches in Burnaby. And yeah, they had pajama days the next day. So I think that's pretty good. If you're not gonna have the day off just to go to, school in your pajamas for all the sugar crashed kids.
It's not a bad idea. Kind of an easier day. And everyone's kind of having fun wearing their pajamas. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
It really streamlines the morning routine, doesn't it?
I bet.
Just get out of bed and just get there.
Yeah. You
Right.
can eat candy on the way.
Yeah. Take a chocolate bar, hop in the car.
Have a peanut butter cup for some extra protein.
Yeah.
Except for, I was telling this to the crew, I had a friend whose daughter literally had a razor blade in her peanut butter cup. So the wrapper was already open. The daughter was suspicious of this, took it out, and it was very obvious that it was in there. It was probably half in, half out. And other moms in the community posted to a social media page, and it sounds like other people had the same experience. So they've been reported to the police, but crazy. Yeah. So Halloween surprises, and then were also saying that Chris and Joanna's little niece there got a potato. So this is a new thing that I hadn't heard about. So I Googled it, and I guess somewhere in the States it started. This person got a bowl of candy together and put one potato in there kind of as a joke. And so when the kids came up, they were allowed to pick if they wanted the candy or the potato. They got to like pick it out themselves, and kids kept picking the potato. So they kept putting a potato in there, and now it's a thing. Potato. Pretty exciting.
My inner Irishman very much approves.
So if this picks up, and next Halloween, there's going to be a carrot in there, and some celery,
An
and
onion. You're gonna have a soup,
yeah,
a little squash,
yeah, just phase candy out completely.
a little patty pant squash. Yeah, it's like going to the farmer's market.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I don't know that we'll get kids excited about the farmer's market on Halloween, but who knows? Maybe that's the way to phase out the 31st. Candy night will be Saturday night, and then farmer's market night will be on the day of the week, right?
You have to orchestrate with your neighbors what vegetable or fruit you're providing. Yeah.
Sounds like, oh, great. I got a radish. Oh, I got a kumquat. Oh.
Kumquat, super underrated, just for the name alone. A kumquat, you know?
I think that's the main draw to the kumquat as far as I'm concerned. Well, that's fantastic. Okay. Well, hey, let's make a mention of the book club, right? Because we're gonna have a book in a few weeks to discuss.
Yes.
What's the name of that book?
There we go. Braiding Sweetgrass by, sorry, Joanna, can you read the author's name?
Robin Wall Kimmerer.
Robin Wall Kimmerer, Braiding Sweetgrass.
Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants. There you go.
Excellent. I have that in my Audible files, but I have not started listening yet. But we got a few weeks.
I am finished.
Well, you are.
Yeah, and Chris is finished as
A
well.
while ago, yeah.
We painted the exterior of our house, and so there was you needed something to listen to while you painted. It was perfect.
Good. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Well, don't give your reviews yet because we'll save those, right?
exactly.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, good. I'll get on it, and we will be diving into that book soon.
Yeah, and Joe, you haven't started, or have you started now?
I've started a little bit of this, but I actually now have it from the library on to be able to listen to it. So do you recommend, is it a good listen, or should I keep up with this?
Is it the author who narrates it? I can't
Yeah, it
remember.
is the author that narrates it on Audible, so I assume same. I enjoyed listening to it. Definitely have to speed it up. So I think I listened at 1.4 or 1.5.
Okay.
And even then it was, I probably could have pushed it faster. It was comfortable to listen to at 1.4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right on.
I
So,
will.
up to you.
Okay. Well,
That's
if all three of you are gonna have listened to it, then I'm tempted to do it this way. But anyways, we'll see.
sounds great.
Yeah.
I'll get to it as soon as I'm done with a book I'm currently listening to called 9 Nasty Words, where they talk about the etiology of 9 very well-known swear words.
Oh,
That's interesting.
you just never know what you're reading. That's
I
great.
know. I
Okay.
know. Including why we call them swear words or curses, right? All these things have their specific etiology. It's kind of cool.
I'm intrigued.
Yes. It's
Intrigued.
kind of fun.
I think there's a show on Netflix about that stuff too,
Oh,
about the starting of the swear words, where they come from.
yeah. Well, I like language stuff. I think that's kind of interesting. So it's been kind of fun. Plus, it's a little naughty listening about 9 nasty words.
You are a rascal.
Well, let's get to our topic. Let's serve up our cutting edge mental health knowledge here. All right.
Sounds good.
I drew the short straw tonight. I'm the one who has to do the ambush. So I'm going to get to that. All right. So here we go. Ambush. I know the topic. You three don't. Drum roll, please. Here we go, everybody. Envy and jealousy. What's the difference? Why do we envy? What can we do about it?
Ooh,
Good one.
this makes me think of a certain book.
Does it?
Which one?
Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, because it's kind of like an encyclopedia for emotion, right?
Yeah, and I read there's one is about envy and jealousy, and I learned something because I really didn't know the difference. And
All right, Joe.
What
You're
is
floored.
it?
Yeah, the
well,
floor.
I can share this, Ryan, and maybe you can see if you all have different how you define envy and jealousy. But
I just want to say that Joe, we've been trying for 91 episodes to not mention Brene Brown, and you broke that completely right now.
I didn't even know.
You busted it. The jinx
Oh.
is up. That's it.
Should I leave?
Yeah, does that
Street-
mean
No,
I'm bigger on the description of this podcast and get a million listeners?
I'm kidding. Go ahead, Joe. What do you got?
So my understanding from that was that if you envy someone, it's for something they have. You might envy their house, their yard, their job, something like that. That's envying it. And if you're jealous of someone, it's more of there's a threat to a relationship. So it'd be like you're jealous of because your two friends are hanging out because there's a threat to your relationship with those people, or you're jealous of your partner's playing video games all the time because that video game is a threat. They're jealousy of something because it's impacting your relationship. So that was how she said it, was that jealousy is more something to do with a relationship being threatened a little bit, and envy is more about something that you envy that they might have, or
Interesting.
not necessarily an object, but a position, something like that. So I think it seems that a lot of people should be saying they are envy of I think people use jealousy a bit too much, according to what she says as her definitions, whereas we're actually more envious of people for certain things versus jealous. But
I'm actually
that was what I learned.
I'm quite envious of your knowledge of jealousy.
There you go. I just thought it was super neat. I was like, and it just stuck with me. I was like, oh, and I've actually shared that in sessions and stuff because I'm like, oh, actually, I've heard that might be envy, but we rarely use the word envy.
Really?
I think so. I don't know. I've now tried a bit more, knowing that I know the actual definition of it compared to jealousy, but I think I 100% hear jealousy more than envy.
I definitely hear jealousy more. I feel like I bring up envy, or it comes up in sessions a good amount, not like a everyday situation, but probably a few times a month kind of situation where it's talking about feeling envious.
Okay. So any other thoughts of how others would define the difference?
I hadn't thought of it or heard it defined the way that old Brene did there, but I think that's a good kind of working definition. But I guess I had thought of envy as kind of jealousy plus anger. So jealousy being you either have something or you're involved in something, there's something that you've got that I want, whether that's relational or creature comfort or whatever that might be. And envy is you have that and I'm angry about it as well. I feel I'm kind of stewing about it. Maybe I'm angry at you, but maybe I'm angry at me that I don't have it. Why am I left behind? And it's a difficult emotion. And it's one that I've heard probably more of from clients recently. And it's interesting because they bring it up and they're like, I don't don't like feeling this. Like they know that they feel it, but they're aware of what's going on and aware of the barrier that causes with them and their friend or their partner, whoever it might be. They're like, I want to get rid of this thing. This is uncomfortable.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll toss on top of that a time a while ago, and was taking a class, a theology class, and talking about what's known in the Christian Bible, the 7 deadly sins. And you've heard of these before. If you watch the movie Seven, you know them. But like it's gluttony, lust, sloth, greed, and a couple others, and envy is one of them. And in some people's commentary, they were saying that they feel like envy is the worst of all of them, of all of those deadly sins, because there's no upside to it. Like if you're into gluttony, at least you get to enjoy the food for a while until it becomes too much. If you're lust, sex might be fun for a while, but there's no, it loses it after a while. But with envy, there's like nothing good about that. There's no positive to it. Go ahead, Joe.
What about in certain amounts or in certain situations? Like if you are, like, I guess going from what I talked about, envying something, like envying what someone has, could there be potential for motivational factors there? Like if I'm envious of that, oh, you got that degree, or as long as it's not going to be, I can see how too much of that's not helpful, because it feeds into comparison. And I think comparison can be, in some ways, it could feed us in the right way. In other ways, it can be quite detrimental. But I wonder if that's a possibility there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that might be a bit of where it goes as far as what do we do about it, right? Like it's turning it from just kind of sitting and like feeling gross or feeling the deficit, feeling the anger, whatever that might be, to channeling it into a motivation to maybe I can do something about that. Like identify what my needs are and try to go and get them, instead of being disappointed or whatever our feelings about the other person who has what we wish we had, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think there's certainly a motivational factor that we can tap into. Can be helpful for people.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. So what kind of things would you typically be envious about, though? Because it can maybe direct your goal setting and give you motivation to move in a certain direction. But, do you tend to be envious of things that will actually lead to fulfillment?
Probably not.
Well, no, actually, like I think of
it is right. Like I do hear a lot, like relational trauma clients where it was like parents where they didn't have secure attachments with their parents. Especially I hear it more from women, but this, like, I envy other women who have a positive relationship with their mothers. I envy that, that bond. And so in that,
and that example
Even-
would agree as well.
even more so than that, this is one that I think we can all wrap our heads around. It's like you're someone who you want the relationship, and your friend suddenly gets into a good relationship and you're happy for them, but you're also, you feel this yuckiness inside of like, what, my friend's like moving up in the world and I'm not, and I'm happy for them, but I also feel this envy about that, or this
like that's something I deeply want.
And I hear this a lot with some women who are like, I really want to have a baby, and my friend just announced that she got pregnant, and it's great, I'm happy for her, but that really shines a spotlight on my deficit here, what I'm lacking right now. And she's like, I just want to feel happy for my friend. Why can't I just feel that way? But this kind of gets in the way. And we could see a lot of different things, the job and career advancement, or other things that others have. And I just think that in the age of Instagram, this is kind of a big thing too, right?
Yeah.
Like, look at this.
Curious, like kind of piggybacking on what you said a little bit, like when you say Instagram, So let's say people are scrolling and social media, TikTok, whatever, and they see all these things. I don't know if they're envious of the things or if they're envious of like something more about that person or profile, like the lifestyle or the portrayal of happiness or success, or there might be like a deeper value that the person is after more than like, oh, I wish I had a yacht. Well, they're probably actually saying, I wish I could travel or have financial freedom or relationship. Like I wonder about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And having a hard time maybe for that person to even articulate it or reflect on it, because then it extends to, well, if I buy their product, then I will be whatever, I will be closer to that.
Yeah. Yes.
So why would someone experience envy and someone would not, you know? Because it's not, envy is not necessary to
No.
clarify, you know, for goal clarification and whatnot. So
There could be some I don't know, maybe someone, if they're more susceptible to, maybe they're having a harder time, or there's some dissatisfaction with different areas of their life. That would be more the envy. I want what someone has.
Yeah. I remember when I was in high school, I was like 16 or something, and I worked hard at school and tried to get good grades and all that kind of stuff. One of my best friends was kind of a slacker, you know, but he had a lot of fun. He was a great guy. But he just didn't put that much effort into schoolwork. And his parents told him, if you get a B average, we'll buy you a car.
whoa.
And he got a B average and he got his car. And I was seething with envy. I was so angry that this situation could happen. I was kind of happy for him, but I was like, man, I've already, you know, I've got above a B average and I don't have anything. And I was angry about that.
So what do you think I was stemming from? Like this anger often is perception of unfairness or injustice, right? So you feel that
It
was-
felt unfair. I felt it was unfair. I've got better grades than him and I don't have anything, and he just gets a B average and suddenly gets a car. So yeah, it was I had a deficit. I think it's where it came from. It's like I was feeling deprived somehow. Maybe not feeling recognized for my hard work or whatever it was. And then I was mad that he was recognized for getting his car from his good grades, you know.
Did he love the car as much as you probably thought he did?
Yeah, he loved his car.
He loved the car. Excuse the car.
He was a little older than me, and he had a car several months before I did, and I was like, oh man, this car. No, but I mean, Joe, to be fair, I mean, I like Brené's definition. I think that makes it a lot cleaner in some ways. It's just jealousy being about relationships and envy being about things, right?
Yeah.
The being envious, something someone has, and then having something and it being threatened by someone else, I think is the jealousy.
Yeah.
Relationship and someone else's, a friendship is threatened, or so I think that was kind of my understanding of it.
So I'm like, so I think that's the key word, threatened, as I'm pondering this too, right? Like, I guess it is relational. I'm just trying to think of other examples. So I don't know, somebody who has a work position and they're working really hard to get a promotion, and a new person, and they have a good working relationship with the boss, and a new person joins the company and they also get along with the boss, and then the other person gets the promotion.
Right.
So that relationship they originally had with the boss was threatened by that person coming in.
But so was the promotion.
Yeah.
Or
You'd be envious of the promotion, but you could be jealous that that person now has a different relationship with like envious or jealousy of their relationship.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a part, or let's say you are, I don't know, you're at whatever position, somebody new comes in and now you feel like your position is threatened. So this new person has a really good relationship with the boss or whatever. Yeah, I see. Okay, yeah, that would still be relational because you're like, I feel threatened
Yep.
with their relationship that will then negatively affect me.
Yeah.
In my relationship with them, maybe.
And along with Brene Brown, I'd like to bring in the other research group, the Killers, who brought in the song Mr. Brightside, where they talk all about jealousy. It's a relational jealousy about a man who I think his ex-girlfriend is kissing someone else and he feels this burning jealousy, which is all relational. So I think we cite that as another.
Yeah.
I'm sure Brene
Very formal reference, yes.
consulted them as well.
But part of me feels though, like, is it really necessary to distinguish the two? Like, I think it's almost tomatoes here, but if someone's like, oh, I feel really jealous of this person's car, you're not going to go, well, actually, technically that's envy that you experience right now.
No, but where it does come in helpful to be able to figure it out or provide a definition, which I don't know if it's happened to you guys. It's definitely happened to me in the past maybe the past year or more with clients, is they say, well, it's not jealousy. Like, this is what's happened. And if maybe I feel jealous, and they're like, no, that's not the right word. Like it doesn't quite hit for whatever reason.
Oh, I see.
So to be able to say, oh, I'm wondering if, like, do you feel envious?
No, fair
And
enough.
maybe here's why.
I just feel like there's an underlying theme there. It's kind of a yearning for something that,
Yeah.
so again, some kind of deficit or perceived deficit that you have.
I just took a peek at something and I just want to see if it says jealousy differs from envy in that jealousy always involves three parties: you, what you have, and an outside force that poses a threat to what you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's another thing to add into the mix there. Jealousy will always have an external presence that is influencing your emotions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
and envy is almost more observational. Like, you're watching something or you're aware of something, but the struggle is within.
So yeah, I'm curious about that. So
It's like not a direct impact to you or your life.
So there has to be a third party though. Like, what happens if you're just living your life and you have no idea someone's jealous of a connection or friendship or relationship that you have?
I think it's more like, but there's still, like, if I'm just living my life and I have a good connection with a friend and I don't know that my other friend is jealous of my friendship with my friend, that still doesn't mean it's not
You're right.
jealous
Yeah.
though. All three parties don't need to be in the know. I think it just involves,
Good
it's a
point.
relational thing. I think it still involves me.
Yeah.
And another, yeah.
Still involves three people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily impact three people, but
No.
Okay.
So I think a common thread here, regardless of the definitions here, the common thread I think we're often talking about here is the deficit. Something's missing, and whether it's someone else having what we're missing or having a relationship thing that we're threatened by, whatever that might be, we're not feeling whole. We're not feeling fulfilled by where we are, or these feelings probably wouldn't occur, right?
Yeah, but I would just say add to that perception of a deficit, right? Your
Okay, yeah.
It's so tough to
Mhm.
objectify that, right? Because there's some people that have very little, but they don't feel jealous or envious, right?
Sure.
They don't see, yeah.
If I hated my car, but my neighbor drew up in a brand new dream car that I would, wish I had, I'm gonna feel something about that. Oh, you have this thing that I wish I had. If I felt content with what I had, I like what I've got. I'm fine with it. They drive up in something nice. Oh, good for you. That looks really cool. And I would probably leave it behind, right? There's that perception of a deficit of like, oh, I'm lacking. There's something missing here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think it can almost, like, you could do it, but not in a super serious way? Like, oh man, great car, wish I had that. But you're also not actually like upset that you don't, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you're actually fine with your car, but Who
I think
wouldn't?
sometimes that's a compliment to there. We perceive that as a compliment to the other person. Like, oh boy, you're lucky you got that car. Way to go. I wish I had
Yeah.
that. It's part of showing that, I don't know, affirmation, appreciation for them sometimes.
Yeah. Or you could drive like a Rabbit or something like that. Someone else could have a Porsche. And yeah, again, you're like, meh. Person in the Porsche is like, oh, they're so jealous of my car. The person in the Rabbit must be just stoked with their car.
Yeah.
That's right.
Tent.
That's it. That's it. So if you've got that deficit, I guess, an old saying in this field is like, happiness is loving what you have instead of having what you love, or something like that. Right.
Yeah.
It's if you can accept and appreciate what you have, recognizing that's not always possible. If you don't have enough money to pay the bills, that's going to be a hard thing to love, but I think there's a lot of us who kind of go through life with like, if onlys, if only I had this, then I'd be happy. If only I had that car or that much money or that gadget, then I would be okay. And I think that's a dangerous kind of trap to get caught in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't like Jim Carrey alluded to something like that. He said, I wish everyone could have millions of dollars and access to anything and everything they have so they can realize it doesn't actually lead to any sense of happiness or contentment. Something along those lines.
Oh yeah.
Be like, well, I wouldn't mind trying myself. If you want to give me some of your millions of dollars, I can see where that goes. But kind of back to these socially or these culturally constructed norms, or we're through a lot of different forces. We're trying to achieve various things that actually won't really lead to fulfilling a sense of fulfillment.
Yeah.
Unless you actually have, that's not, I guess, fully true, because if you have meaningful connections in your life, if you have sources of meaning and purpose, and then you add something to it, then that's a lot better than someone who doesn't have the connection and meaning and purpose and they buy like a Ferrari, right?
Certainly.
And I guess also just to really normalize that, I think it's really, I don't know, especially like growing up and when you're a teenager and even into adulthood, how common it is to maybe be jealous of a friendship or someone, like I've been there. I've, been like, oh man, like they're hanging out so much, or do they have what I have? And I think you're just trying to, we all have our insecurities at times, and maybe that's what the deficit, I don't know. But I think it's just, when we talk about deficit, I think that's like, oh man, I see that could be a bit of an overwhelming term, but I think it could just be, we have our insecurities and we want to belong and and I think as you go through life and you learn about these things, you can maybe see, where you want to put your energy, et cetera, and the friendships that matter, et cetera. But I think it's so common to be jealous of relationships at some point or another in your life, whether family ones, friendship ones, whatever. And I think it's good to ask yourself, well, what's going on here for me? And and also, I don't know, asking ourselves, learning a little bit.
Totally. I go back to what we were saying before, Joe. What you mentioned there is that, maybe one of the positive points of envy or jealousy could be a motivation to change something, right? And I think we really have, I guess a couple of choices if you're feeling super jealous, envious, whichever term we're gonna point at here. But it's either channel that into the motivation to strive for something that you want that you don't yet have, to try to seek that fulfillment, or to work to, I guess, accept what you do have, right? And to try to feel a little better about where you are. Yeah, my Rabbit is just fine. Look at it, gets me to work every day. This is great. I like my car, I don't need a Ferrari. The insurance on that would be a killer. I don't want that, whatever it might be. To help you either accept and embrace where you are, or to work towards something
the gratitude piece. But to Joanna's point though, I do think there's a higher likelihood of feeling jealous in the adolescent years, because I think there's major shift there that happens away from your parents and towards having strong connections with people your age, right? And I
Yeah.
think there's a survival piece to that.
And early adulthood, I would
Yeah.
say, not just adolescence, right? Because also that would be when, let's say you're moving out, maybe you're going to university, or you're living on residence, or you're moving out for the first time on your own and you have roommates or whatever. The social network that you're building, you're reliant on them for support. You have your family too, but you're trying to launch off into independence and autonomy. And if those relationships are threatened,
Or
that could be,
non-existent.
or non-existent, that could be very, very scary, right? That,
So probably up to,
developmentally.
up to around the age of 25 then, right?
or until you're stable enough to be kind of like self-sufficient and
Yeah.
um
Yeah, that's where if you don't have those strong connections, and then you can see some of the jealousy and envy maybe linger for many years after,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
you notice it more, perhaps, the connections other people have, and the void there within
Yeah.
yourself.
yeah, and I'm sure it's also if you look into someone's past, if they're maybe more likely to be jealous if they've had a series of insecure relationships, like maybe relationships that weren't really super healthy or super loving, and then they have somebody who pays attention and listens to them and cares about them, and then if that relationship is threatened in any way, then jealousy meter really goes up, right? Like this is a cherished gem.
Yeah.
Because it's like their own insecurity of if they're good enough, or if they can maintain that relationship, or what's going to happen if that person goes away. And
Yeah.
this might funnel into some codependency. I don't know.
But sometimes, again, in the teenage years, it really springs that sense of competition, right? You
Yeah.
do what you can to fight for that friendship. It's maybe sometimes contradicting your values at times for some people, but interesting.
Opposed to saying, you know what, we can all be friends. That's okay.
I'm sure hopefully that happens in some circumstances, but
Yeah.
but definitely
No.
tougher just to say I'm grateful, for
Grateful
what I
for the
have
relationship
when you
that I
don't
do
have those
have.
relationships as a teenager. That'd be
Yeah.
very difficult, or young adult.
I'm glad we had this conversation, because through this conversation, I just realized it really wasn't about my friend's car at all when I was a teenager. It was about the fact that his parents cared about his grades.
Hmm.
That's what I was jealous
Ah,
because my dad was a very hands-off guy, and I'd bring home a report card and he's like, oh, nice, it's cool. But there wasn't a lot of fanfare around that, even though I worked really hard to do it. But this friend had his parents were like, come on, get those grades, go get it. And they put their money where their mouth was, they're like, we'll get you something. I don't know that that's always the best motivator for grades, but that's beside the point. The fact is that it was the relational component that was really I think the driving factor. Interesting.
There we go.
I'm healed, everybody. Thank you.
What a
That-
breakthrough.
$200.
yeah. Invoices in the mail.
And also, if it's a flashy car, they may get attention from people, and
Yeah.
people may want to go hop in the car go for lunch, or so it may actually help. May have helped your friends socially too.
Jeez. He was into muscle cars. I don't know if you guys know those cars much, but this was a 1970 Pontiac Firebird,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
bright orange, and man, it was fast, dangerous.
Sweet.
But he really liked those kinds of cars, so he got it. He got it. But what he really got were his parents. That's what really matters.
So it turns out you're actually maybe jealous then, not envious.
Yes. Jealous.
No, you're
No.
still envious because it's something you want, not something you have that's being threatened.
Okay.
Like there's no, right, Joanna? Like it's something, jealousy is something that is like a
Yeah.
relational
Just
threat.
I think that would be envy. Yeah.
Oh, okay, darn.
Okay.
But relational want would be envy.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Getting our head around this.
Yeah.
Like that was Ryan's brother who was getting the car for the grades and his parents didn't give him
Yes.
any motivation. That would be probably jealousy of the relationship there.
Ah, get it. Got it.
That's my guess.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm.
Thanks, Joe. Now I gotta go cry in the other room. Kidding. I'm kidding. All good. These are difficult emotions for sure.
They are, they're big ones.
They are.
No?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think yeah, in this day and age, you know, social media was brought up. That's a big perpetrator for getting a lot of people feeling envy and jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
Always worrying about what people are doing if you're not there, or worrying about what people have and you don't. Like, it's just like, stop it. Get out of, you have to be so careful with that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're in a very cold climate, like next week, and someone's posting pictures from Hawaii. They're enjoying a great time in Hawaii, having a pina colada or
With your
something,
parents.
I know.
looking out on the beach, swimming with the dolphins. I mean, that's a hard thing to have to face, right?
It is interesting because there could be this 100%, and I know I don't feel it though. There could be very much jealousy because they're going away with my mom and dad. They get to have these times, and I know I've thought about that before, and I don't think that's a very strong emotion for me. I think I'm more happy that they're going to have those experiences together.
Yeah.
But yeah, would it be wonderful to be in Hawaii with them? I think that's more the factor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
being a place to be and to relax. But
A little bit more of the envy piece, like,
Yeah,
that would be great if I could go too.
yeah, but there could be space for sure for the jealousy to have. But I think it's more, I'm glad you guys are all doing that together. So I
Yeah.
don't feel a threat like, oh gosh, now mom and dad don't care about me as much, or what's happening, or if I'm being excluded. Nothing like that.
That is happening though.
Darn it. Well, I'm feeling okay about it. So
Yeah, I think we've all experienced jealousy and envy, but I think the older you get and maybe practicing gratitude or focusing on the good things that are happening, it is actually pretty cool just to be genuinely happy for someone.
Totally.
Because the promotion, you're like, that's awesome. I'm really excited for you. That's great.
Yeah.
Without the self-comparison piece or the sense of competition or
Right.
bringing it back on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest parts of it, is that I don't want to have negative feelings towards, someone I care about, someone who's that close to me, or even have that as part of the relationship when they're successful, right? Like I say, that's what I hear from clients. It's like, ugh, why do I have to deal with this? So yes, the striving, the gratitude, the self-acceptance, and maybe even at times the grief, right? Maybe that's another piece of this that's preventing the acceptance, is the grief. I don't have that, or I'm not in that stage of my life, or I'm not I'm not able to do whatever that is right now.
Yeah.
And just needing to allow yourself to feel the grief of that, to cry it out, to feel it, in order to work through and get to a place of acceptance of what those deficits might be, right?
Yeah. So maybe some radical acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
and then trying to focus on things you have control over within your day. Hopefully some self-care in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so writing or connecting and talking about that, processing those feelings. So yeah, I agree. There's a good old cognitive reframing. What I hear often is, well, yeah, I see this Instagram photo, but obviously we don't know what their life is actually like, or we don't know if they're accepting or experiencing any difficulties or challenges. To try to put in perspective with that.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Well, that's the thing too. I mean, Instagram's wonderful in a lot of ways, but boy, does it help people to show just that small sliver of their life that they want to show. That's really great, right?
Yeah.
Well, and often it's not even a sliver of their life. Like you don't see the making of the photo, right? Like yeah, I've come across it maybe twice where people are like, they're doing this to put on their Instagram, and just the amount of time that they have put into getting the perfect picture and having somebody take that picture in ridiculous situations, or the amount of just energy that kind of goes into it. So the moment isn't actually an authentic moment. The whole, not only is there a filter, but the picture itself is staged, and that's probably the 100th take of the day, and then it's filtered. So it isn't a candid, this is my life moment.
Yeah. This is the image I want to show you, but it might not actually be that moment.
Yeah. And like, what did you actually experience in that moment? So one of them, we were all in Tofino, and there were, Joanna, did you see that when we were in Tofino, the two people down the beach taking photos for their Instagram?
No.
And it was like this super, super windy day. So it's like super cold out. It's in May, but yeah, very windy, coats and blankets and all kinds of things. And then there's these people just down the beach, full on like bikinis and bathing suits, and taking photos of each other, and trying to get the right wind and the background. So in the photo, I'm sure the photos turned out lovely, but I'm like, you don't see the fact that they were super cold. They weren't actually engaging with nature or each other. There wasn't a memorable moment happening. They weren't connecting with their surroundings. So there wasn't, it's like, yeah, you're not going to hear that story of how they were like super cold and did this for a long time, and they took 300 photos, and
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's kind of comical as an outsider. Like, wow.
Yeah.
It seems like extreme effort just to get that photo and get those likes, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to it. I think it's the whole psychology behind that. Like, why do you post the photos that you post, right? What's the driving force behind that? I suspect for some people, it's I'm lovable. Like, look at me, I'm important.
Mm-hmm.
Some people actually do it and make a living. So
Yeah.
it's also their job to do that. But
yeah.
Actually, I mean, to the topic, I think there's some who they're pulling for that envy, right? Envy my life, envy what I've got.
And the more you envy me, the more attention you're going to give my account, the more money I'm going to make.
Yeah, but even if you're not an Instagram celebrity or star, then again, I think that envy is you want that attention, or that I don't know,
or acknowledgement
or the love,
the pat on the back.
I think it comes down to love,
recognition, whatever. Yeah, you're special.
Yeah, look where I am, I'm special, or look, look who I'm with, or what I'm doing. But
that's true. Boy. Well, you guys are all special the way you are.
We think you're pretty special too.
Thanks. I wasn't fishing for a special, but thank you anyway. I'll take it. You're all lovable. You don't need to envy anybody. Just keep being you. All right.
That insight that you had has really made a shift for you. That's great.
Yeah.
It's really changed things. Oh my gosh. Yes. Like, wow. I just wanted the parents, not the car. What do you know?
There you are.
Well, okay. We're going to have a couple weeks off, and then we'll come back and do the book, or does
me first?
Okay, Brooke gets to talk first and then the book. All right, so we'll be fully in holiday season at that point, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Good. Lovely. All right, guys. Well, I think we've done a good job with this topic. Thank you. I've learned a lot more, both intellectually and personally, through this talk.
Yeah, great topic.
Help me. All right, we will sign off. So that's it. Like and subscribe, Apple, Google, Podbean, Audible, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube. Send your questions to us somehow. Tell a friend or two.
Carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon, smoke signal, whatever it is. And thanks a lot. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Bye.